You want me to put that on my todger?
This one's wife is Harry, heading for the door. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The marriage of this one's wife and Harry has faced repeated scrutiny and speculation. It continues to be the case that people maintain that they don't actually live together and the public appearances are just for show. The PR publications suggest that they are very much in love and they're still hot for one another. There are those that suggest that she films elsewhere because she doesn't live at the home in Monty Shit Show and she actually lives in an apartment in Los Angeles. There are others that suggest that actually their relationship goes from strength to strength and that you get these occasional glimpses of Harry in the background of her programs because he's very much supporting her. He pops up with a few comments here or filming the Instagram videos and can be seen in the Cookery Show, although of course that was filmed last summer. The fact is that whilst there has been repeated speculation about their relationship, what we do know, because it's a relationship between a narcissist and an intimate partner primary source victim, is that it's only ever going to end up one of three outcomes. There's no happy ever after with this relationship. There never is with the narcissist. So either there'll be a disengagement trigger so she gets rid of him, which remains the most likely outcome. It is the most common outcome with regard to the relationship between a narcissist and an intimate partner primary source. Alternatively, Harry says, "This is enough," and he leaves, thus he escapes. Or neither of those things happen, it trundles along, sustained evaluation, respite period, sustained evaluation, respite period. And that happens in many instances whereby there's no disengagement trigger. For instance, in this case, it might be that her narcissism deems that Harry remains useful to her. She can't get anybody else. He doesn't break down. He still continues to be controllable. And therefore, with no exposure of her, her narcissism says, keep using him. He serves a purpose. He still doesn't grasp what he's dealing with, and whilst he's unhappy, he hangs in there because he still loves her, or perhaps because he wants to keep the family unit together. Or might it be that Harry is starting to wake up? We know that he's a petulant individual because of his own strong narcissistic traits, and we know that he has played second fiddle to her repeatedly, a role that often he appeared to embrace. But that might just have been as a consequence of his upbringing, that he's often described as well-mannered and friendly, and that may well translate into the way that he behaves in respect of her. He's a gentleman, so he lets her go first. He's showing good manners by allowing his pushy wife to speak to people, even though she's elbowing him out of the way. We have seen numerous instances over the passage of time where he has not been able to hide his irritation or feeling downcast at the way that he has been pushed to one side. After all, prior to her arrival, he was used to getting the attention, and many people liked him as the old playboy prince and fun Harry, not necessarily privy to some of the less savoury aspects of his behaviour. But nevertheless, he was the one that enjoyed the limelight, not as a narcissist. And understand, non-narcissists can enjoy the limelight also, but they do so for reasons which are not linked to the pursuit of the prime aims. They enjoy the limelight because it's fun. They enjoy the limelight because they're being praised. Because after all, everybody likes praise in some shape or form. But he's the blue-blooded prince, and she's the Janey-come-lately. And whilst he would be content to share the limelight with her, it may well be the case that he's become increasingly disheartened at the fact that she's taken over and elbowed him to one side. After all, her preoccupation with being seen and celebrity status is something that is somewhat uncomfortable for him. He's not used to it. Whilst he's famous, he's not interested in the celebrity aspect. He's famous, and he utilises that with regard to charitable works. The environment that he's found himself taken to is one which is vacuous, vapid, and one where there's no actual substance. Now, I'm not suggesting that Harry is some kind of philosophical and political heavyweight that wants to debate the issues of the day over a glass of port after a good 5-course meal at somebody's dinner party. But the whole environment is somewhat alien to him. the fridge magnet platitudes, the golden outlook, the self-serving behaviours are not something that he's accustomed to, but rather enjoying a pint and a bit of bants with the mates rather than engaging in politically correct behaviours. He has become increasingly sidelined, and this has become all the more apparent just recently. Where is he? Yes, he pops up in the edge of a video. Yes, you hear his voice. He pops in for the mimosa to toast this one's wife, though he's actually stood more or less at the back. The spotlight, the limelight is firmly on her. It's all been about her. Her Instagram, her videos on Instagram, her posts on Instagram, her stories on Instagram, with Harry either not featuring or having very much a bit part. Her preoccupation with asserting control and drawing fuel through Instagram has heightened as of late, as I predicted it would. Furthermore, the cookery programme, albeit filmed last year, the responses to it are all around her, providing her with fuel. It's her vehicle. And whilst Harry wasn't involved, he can't but help look upon it and think, yet again, here's something that she's preoccupied with, and I'm relegated to coming second. Then there's her forthcoming podcast, which heralds her as a female founder, laughable as it is. But once again, it's about her. There was a period of time where the joint appearances had also fallen to the wayside, where she was seeking almost to distance herself from him to make it seem as if she could succeed in her own right. She, of course, utilised the Invictus Games, but it would appear that she was sent home early, probably because Harry, or more likely the actual hosters and the people running the games, had enough of her hogging the limelight, which would presumably include Harry. And as time has gone on, although he's a dunderhead and affected by his own emotional thinking, it's quite clear that not only does he see more of her behaviour in a light which shows that she's grasping and unpleasant and self-absorbed, but couple that with the undoubted devaluing behaviour that he has been receiving, and the fact that he will say to himself, but I thought I was meant to be the main draw, she's taking over. All of it starts to create a rather heady brew that this particular victim, with his own strong narcissistic traits, might start to think, I've become the spare in my own marriage. She's talking about what she wants to do. She's pushing her programs, pushing her podcast, talking with people. She hangs out with all these people that I don't really like. I came over here for love and to raise a family, and she's more preoccupied with being a celebrity than doing stuff with our family. She's gadding about here, there, and the other, going on programs, going on shows. I get the occasional mention, but we don't do that much together. Any individual would feel sore about the lack of attention that they were receiving from their spouse, and particularly when it's as a consequence of all of the energy in the room being sucked out of it by this one's wife. Might it now be that Harry, as he becomes increasingly sidelined and marginalised through the passage of time, is starting to think to himself, this isn't working for me, and that he might decide that it's time for him to head to the door? Do you think that as time has gone by and he's seen more and more of what she's done, which includes him being marginalised more and more, that he's suddenly thinking, I don't like this any longer? Or do you still think that he's completely subsumed within the awful shared fantasies that they have, a consequence of his own low intelligence and emotional thinking, whereby he still can't see clearly, and whilst he might not like some of the treatment, he still remains beholden to her? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.